Hello, wing fanatics. Awesome comments on that video. There are clearly some really big wing fans out there, which is awesome. I totally love them. I want to start things off right off the bat with one question. Someone was asking, is the series ending? And I think that was in reference to the title that we had on there for a little while. So we had the wrong title on there, and apologies for that. It is not an indication of the series ending at all. We are literally just getting started. We have 5 episodes up right now, and we've already got a lot more produced and just kind of waiting in the wings to go up. So we're doing one on mashed potatoes coming up. We've got one on mushrooms. I don't want to spoil everything. So there's a lot out there that we haven't done yet that I'm really excited to get into. But I do want to use this opportunity to kind of call out and just say, let me know in the comments if there are topics you want me to cover. Some of you have already kind of taken the reins on that and have put a lot of comments in there, which is fantastic. I love to hear what you're interested in because I can cover that stuff. Pudding pops has come up already, so that one's on my list, which I would totally love to do some pudding pops. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you're interested in. But we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. So let's get into some wing questions. There was a really good question about like double frying and that extended cooking time, which is about 14 minutes for this recipe, is the risk that you're going to overcook the white meat. So I just want to back up and clarify a little bit that experiment where I basically excise the muscle from the wings and cook it separately. I really do that to prove the point that that muscle fiber is really different than a thigh or a drumstick, which you can cook for a really long period of time and break down tons of collagen and make it super juicy. It has a tendency to dry out. But the good news is, anytime you're eating a wing, you're never just eating that meat alone. That white muscle fiber is surrounded by all these other things that are going to help it stay juicy. So we have connective tissue all around it that connects it to the bones. That can render and break down into gelatin, which makes the whole thing a lot juicier. And then it's wrapped in all of that skin. So that's going to provide a lot of juiciness as well. So the big takeaway is that you just don't want to overdo it with wings. You don't want to fry them for a really long period of time, like 25 minutes or something like that, and expect them to stay juicy. So you don't have to worry too much. And the 14-minute with the break in the middle, those wings are really juicy. Even the drumette, which I find tends to dry out a little bit more, has that higher ratio of meat. That comes out super juicy as well. So I hope you try that recipe. We put the link in the video. It's a great one, and that sauce is good on anything. It's really good. So there was another great question about double frying, and is it a good idea even if you're not using batter? So someone said that they're a purist, which I totally understand, especially if you're making buffalo wings, where the batter really doesn't make sense. The Korean fried ones, that's traditional to it, and you get that kind of shattery crust, which I love. But the naked wings is pretty classic for buffalo wings, and in that case, absolutely double fry. It's actually, I think, even more important because you have just a thin layer of skin, and that can sog out pretty fast. So you need more insurance against that happening, and the double fry is key there too. So fry halfway, pull it out, let it rest, and you can let that rest for longer than we do in that Korean fried recipe. You could go for 20 minutes or a half an hour even, and then finish with that fry right before you're going to serve them. And so basically all that moisture that migrates out to the skin, we can just zap that out in that second fry. So absolutely, if you're going to go naked wings for buffalo, double fry. Double fry, that's the lesson. Just double fry. So another question was, does double frying work for things other than chicken wings? And the answer is yes. So if you look at classic French fries, the classic French technique for it is a double fry. The reason behind that is actually slightly different. The first fry, when you're doing traditional frites, is to actually make this really cool gelled starch layer on the exterior of the fries, kind of like that batter that we put on the wings there. And that gelled starch, once we put it into the second fry, the water will evaporate and we'll get this porous structure that's really crispy. So the reason for double frying there is a little bit different. It's not so much about mitigating that moisture that migrates to the surface. But any battered fried food can be double fried. And so basically the rule that I go with is if the food inside, the protein, whatever it is inside, is really high moisture and has a tendency to leach moisture out during cooking into that exterior crust, which is true for a lot of things like pork or tofu, it would all be the case. then double frying is going to be useful because you're going to pull it out, you're going to let the exterior sog out, and then you're going to fry again to crisp it. So that's kind of the general rule. If you see that the moisture is going to come out and kind of sog out that exterior, go with double frying. And I also had a nice question about using the oven if you don't want to fry. So I will say that yes, you can make some pretty darn good wings in the oven. They're different, and one of the big issues is that you have to cook them for a fairly long time to get that skin as crispy and wonderful as you can with frying. Frying is just a beautiful thing. It just surrounds the wing perfectly, heats it to the right temperature, and as all that moisture escapes and air escapes, it's replaced with fat, which really helps keep things nice and crispy for longer. But yes, you can do them in the oven. It's kind of a two-heat method usually works best. So you want to season your wings up with salt. And you can do this, even overnight, a day before you want to cook them off. That's going to help with a couple of things. It'll help dehydrate the surface moisture a little bit, which will help with crisping. And as that salt migrates into the muscle tissue, it will also help it hold on to more moisture, as well as obviously season it. So you can do that in advance. You don't have to. You want to go onto a wire rack set in a rimmed baking sheet, and that goes into a low oven. So a 250-degree oven for about 30 minutes. That's going to help dehydrate the skin and break down a little bit of the collagen in the skin, which is great. And then to finish them, in terms of crisping and browning, you want to increase the oven temperature to about 425 degrees and go until they look gorgeous and crispy. It's a longer cook time than you're doing in the fryer, so definitely expect that the meat won't be as moist. But again, if you toss them in a really nice sauce and you've got all that skin on there, you should be in pretty good shape. Thank you again for all of your wing questions. That's all I'm going to be able to get into for this week. But stay tuned. We got a ton of new stuff coming up. I'm really pumped for. And yeah, let me know in the comments other topics that you're interested in, and I'll do my best to get into them. All right, bye.